somebody else do the drawing, because these tickets are worth over $400. They are really good seats on the lower floor, right center court of the action. You know, I'm a casual soccer fan, but I do know Messi, and he did really good. I think they scored the 2 goals in their first game last week. So hopefully the Galaxy can win this one. All right. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's take that slide off so I can share the slide. Okay, let's see. Oh, I guess before I share the slide, I need to click share screen. Can you let me share the screen? Andy.
Okay.
All right. Welcome. So today we want to talk about this market that we are in and how to make transaction happen in this market. How to buy and sell. So we're going to be talking to both buyers and sellers. So I expect questions will be coming from every angle, and I am quite prepared for that. That's good. So, because a lot of people are talking about the marketplace, what can you do? It's high, interest rate is high. What are the choices we have? And so we're gonna get into the meat of it. And again, I want this to be very interactive. If you come here, even if you're only able to spend 15, 20 minutes with us, ask questions that you want to ask so that you can have wisdom on the matter. All right. So how to buy and sell in a tough market. So my name is Gary Nix. I've been doing real estate investment, selling, whatnot for the last 20 years. I've been blessed to do over 1,000 transactions, which is not something that's easy, especially in the LA market. When you do 1,000 transactions in LA market, that's like in Texas, you've done 4,000 transaction, which is a lot, so to speak. So, and I don't know if it's a calling. I've had some of the more challenging files to push through. And what causes you to push through? And here's the thing: everybody that have completed a transaction, either you're selling your home to buy something else, or you're buying your first home, yeah, it's always rough in the middle of it, right? But at the end of it, when you look back 2, 3 months later, you are very thankful that you made it through. So what causes some people to get started and then back out? And I can't remember anybody that's backed out that I can say, this particular person, they made the right decision. In 20 years, and I've had a few challenges like that. Some people never even hit the market. They were going to sell, they never hit the market, right? I can't remember when I look back and say they make the right decision for themselves then. So it causes me to think through, like, okay, what is the stumbling block for people to achieving much? So let's kind of dwell in on that. So I find out that 3 areas where people struggle in their real estate transactions. 3 areas. One is the dream world, right? We have a dream, and we let go of that dream. Two is the regulatory world. That means the transaction of the matter. You're selling your house. There were some repairs that you're supposed to do. You refused to do them, and then you backed out. You're uh, uh, you're buying a house. There's some paperwork you're supposed to get, for the bank, and you backed out. I remember one client that the bank asked for is married. It was divorced with the previous wife, and they pull out that he's been divorced. They ask for the divorce papers. They say, no, that's too much. You can't ask me about my ex-wife stuff. I don't want to talk about it. And he backed out. And it was just at the brink before the interest rate went up again. And he had a locked up rate. And this was for somebody that was buying for the first time. Just that emotional pain is going to cost him in the future, you know. And then the other areas I see where a lot of transactions fall apart is people seeking the approval of others. And we're going to talk about that. And, I'm really good in sharing some stories. Of course, I'm not going to disclose anybody's name in there, but I want you guys to see how it happens, not just for one individual, but this happens a lot. It happens a lot. It's consistent. That's why I'm like, okay, I think we need to talk about this and let people see where they hinder themselves from moving forward. All right, so let's start with for a real estate transaction to occur, there must be a dream. There must be a dream. You must have dreamt about something or envisioned something. You must have dreamt about a positioning or envision a positioning that you're going to be in. You dream about a house. You dream about that income property. You dream about becoming more wealthier than you are. You dream, again, this applies to your first, second, third houses, right? You had that dream that you woke up in the middle of the night and you saw this thing, and it's like, oh, I gotta go after it, right? Now, the Bible says, old men have dreams and young men have visions. So either way,
coming up, Manchester United, the derby, Liverpool the weekend after, potentially.
Okay, I think okay, we just got somebody in the background. That's kind okay. So you have a dream, and it usually starts, because I'm probably falling in the old man class now, right? So now all I can do is dream. We in the middle of the night, I know have dream. But young people, you have vision that okay, and the vision is you want to be better than where you are, whatever your position is. You've never owned a home, now you want to own a home, right? Or you want to home multiple homes. I remember this one young lady came to me many years ago and said, Gary, how do we okay, please, if you're talking in the background, maybe just mute yourself for a second. That'd be great. Thank you. So this young lady came to me and she said, Gary, I want to home multiple homes, not just one home. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And I'm like, what's your income? How much you have saved up? And to God be the truth, I income at that time was about 40 something thousand, 46 or 48,000. I'm like, okay, how much you have saved up? Oh, not a whole lot, Gary. I got like $12,000. And somebody else can look at that and laugh about it. But do you know, I don't know, maybe that was about 18 years ago. Today, this lady owned through 2 homes, and she's on her third one now. And if you combine equity on both homes, she's worth $500,000. And here's the clicker. She is still in the job that she makes $46,000 to $48,000. So you see how when you envision something, things can come to pass for you. It can be possible. But you have to start there. Your dream is your desire of where you want to be. And the key thing is to protect that dream. You want to protect that dream. And this is where a lot, again, the conversation today is why people stop in the middle of great things happening for them. And I really believe owning a home, I don't care if it's a hole in the wall, is the beginning of great things, right? It's the beginning of great things. To be really factual, I was sharing on a drive yesterday with a young man. Uh, and he was asking me like, how do you get started with real estate? Why do you know real estate is what you want to do? And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I wasn't planning on doing real estate at all. I was not. I went to school for cinematography. I was a good writer in college. I had a lot of awards in college for writing. And so I automatically thought that's the field I'm going to go into. And but it didn't work out that route. I started doing customer service and got into sales, and I was really blessed in doing sales. And I just happened to meet this one old man I helped. And I think he's been at that place trying to get some help, and nobody was helping him. And I came on, and he has a lot of questions. And I helped this man. And when I was done with this man, he he like literally bought the whole store. He bought enough stuff that the commission I made from this ourselves is more than what I make in a month, uh, of a whole month. So I'm like, who are you and what do you do? And he just looked at me blankly and he said, son, before I tell you what I do, can I ask you a question? I say, sure, anything you ask me. No, he said, "No, can I make a suggestion for you?" I say, yes, anything. You just made my whole month. My family is gonna be very happy with you. I want to listen to you. And he said, I want to go sell real estate. I'm like, huh, why is that? He said, if you can make people feel the way you make me feel today in real estate, you're going to change a lot of lives. And and I thought about that, like, wow. And then I did some research about this uh, gentleman after he left. I found out he was the 60th richest man in the world at that time. This was, 20 something years ago. I'm like, oh, okay. And it happens to be that I know a lot of people that work for him. So I'm like, oh, if I can just go get a license and start getting these people to be my client, I'm made, because these are all millionaires that I know. I used to service back then. But the whole point was that it told me, it said, if you help people buy a hole in the wall, you can change their life forever. And since it matters to you what you do with people, you can change a lot of lives that way. And so when I transfer that back to real estate, is that we need to understand a home purchase is not just about a home. It's not just about you getting a home. It's about you building wealth for you and your family. And that's what can occur when we have a dream, when we have a vision. Now, you need that dream to be expanded. It expand from time to time. That's why you come home today like, okay, I want to. I just envision my kitchen to look different. I need to do different. You want to do this thing different, but most people just stop with one home. What if you can get that second home, that third home, that fourth home? That's how your dream, you know, it moves forward. It moves forward. And the next thing you know, your life is changed forever. All right. Yeah, what happened there? So here is a programming that I want people to see. Our mind is made. Well, let's talk about what creates programming in our mind. Uh, how we all think based on what we know, what we have been taught, what we have seen people do around us, right? Those are all the information that make us who we are, and we make decisions based on that. And we feel, because this is the way we do things, we feel good about that thing and we take action that give us results. We kind of twist this around. It should be feeling, action and results. And it creates a pattern for how we do things. Now, for a new thing to happen, we have to get new information that comes in right before that programming. So new information comes in and we feel differently and we start acting differently and we get a different result. So what I'm just going to ask you folks today is don't let your hand be closed up. Let it be open up. Because if you're closed, you're always going to stay where you are. You're going to stay where you are. But if you open your hands up, you get new information that comes in. And because you get this new information that you're allowed to come in, you're going to feel a little bit different. And because you feel different, you're going to take a different course of action, right? And get the result because of the action you're taking. So now you are in a new state of mind. So I'm asking that you guys see that and because this is what stop people from moving forward in life. And again, in 20 years, over 1,000 transactions, there's no one I can point to that they cancel and they make the right decision. I'm talking to another, I'm gonna call her a young lady, but she's middle age, whatever. That I looked at her. She was gonna buy a property from us. It looks like 2 years ago. She was, I had her in two different places. She was in a new construction. They were giving her a 2.9% interest rate on this new construction that she was supposed to put 5% down. She said she didn't want that. I said, okay, then let's go to a pre-done home. Same scenario. It was 3.05, and the state was paying for a down payment on that. And she still backed out of that. And today she has nothing. So to get the same property, first of all, those property have now moved up $100,000 in value, right? And now our cost of buying it is 7% or 7.5%. You can imagine from 3% what that payment is. You're talking like a $3,000 payment to now a $6,000 payment. So it's just when people make this decision, it's always wrong, always wrong. It's always if you can just push through. This is just to tell people to push through, and this work for my sellers too. Because if you're selling, especially if you're selling to move up, hello, the money you're gonna get to move up, I can think of a seller that was gonna sell 2 years ago, like, oh, they want $700,000 for the property. We listed at $699, but we didn't get the offer. The one came in at $679. Like, no, I'm not gonna take that, and because what I want to buy is $850,000. Like, okay, well today, if that same seller was to move forward today now, yeah, she can sell a place for $850, but what she wants to buy now is over $1.2 million. And not only that, at that time, you're looking at a 3% interest rate. Now you're dealing with 7% interest rate. So the cost of buying, and also talk about when you buy over $1 million, you're in luxury tax. It's a little bit different animal. So it's just that it's what is going to cause us to push through and not make these mistakes. All right, let's move on. So a man must dream a situation to be better. You have to, a young person must visualize their future to take action towards it. This is really where a lot of our world collide. Where is this thing moving? Yeah, this is where a lot of our world collide or move up. If we can hold on to this dream, and then the action taken is actually more fun. Can you imagine most of the time when you're asleep, right? Is there anybody that sleep and they are frowning when they're sleeping? No, unless it's like a really bad person, right? Usually when you sleep, you have a smile. You have uh, if you look at a baby sleeping, or if you look at your partner sleeping, they always look good while they're sleeping, right? Because in that sleep moment, all things are possible. It's when we wake up and we start letting things come at us that causes us to change, or to be, unraveled. Okay. Anybody have any comments on this, by the way? Okay. All right. Okay. So let's move on to the regulatory world. Now, this is where I definitely want a lot of interaction. By the way, is Alex on yet? I can't really see everybody that's here, but that's fine. So in the regulatory world, what does this mean? This is when you are in the trenches of getting things done. You have made that decision. You're buying, you're selling your home, and then things come up. And guess what? Things always come up. It always come up. Literally, I mean, it's hardly have I had any file that's like, okay, they put the down payment down and everything is ready to go. But put it up for sale and everything is ready to go. Things always come up. It's always different for every file. So there's no real estate transaction that's exactly the same. And this is where I don't know if it's um people's uh what do you call it, ego that get shaken up, you know but things always come up, and I find out people always look to react to things in different way, like the gentleman that says, hey, why are you asking me about my ex-wife? No, I don't want it. That's like, it doesn't make sense to go to forego a life-changing moment because of something that's already there, that already happened. So you don't want to cut short yourself, or shortcut yourself during the process. Be open to tasks to be done during your real estate movement. There may be something that the buyer wants. There may be something the banks want from you, and just go provide it. You know, it just comes up literally for every file. I mean, I've done over 1,000 transactions. I don't recall, unless even a cash purchase. Uh, I made I sent a cash offer on a property that's like $2 million, and the lady's like, Gary, why is your client wanting a 45-day escrow for a cash purchase? I said, well, because they have to go to the courts to get an approval. So things always come up on every given transaction. Uh, so I always say, especially when it comes to buying, be ready to give your blood supply. It's just things, whatever it is, meaning that whatever inquisitive thing they ask of you, you gotta provide. Why do you work this other job and this other job? Why are you working this overtime here and you're not work? They'll ask you sometimes honestly stupid questions like, what the hell are they asking that for? But it comes up and is part of the transaction process. And rather than people getting all worked up on it, just figure it out. I have a seller recently that the buyer, they did inspection on the house. The house need a lot of work. And the seller said, well, when we bought it, nobody, gave us any credit. I'm like, well, when you bought it from the bank and you got it for below market value at that time. The bank gave you a deal so you can go fix it. Well, 10 years later, you didn't fix it. Somebody that's buying it, they're going to pay regular price for you. They want nothing fixed. So things come up and we just got to negotiate in between it and to make it work. Rather than saying, no, I'm not going to take that. No, I'm not going to take that. And we cut ourselves short. I had a listing that it was, we take great pictures. It looks great, but it had this popcorn ceiling that when people come in, even though it's not much of a work, they look at it, it looks like, oh, that's too much work to be done to this thing. And I called and said, listen, this can be done for $3,000. I'll pay for it to get it done for you. So you can get the kind of money you want. No, no, no. If they don't give me the money, no, I'm not gonna to sell it cheap. So it's just interesting. And then when it fixed that thing, we'll put it up in the market later on. It's sold. So it's just things come up and we just have to address it. As a buyer, be ready to give whatever the bank asks for you to give. If they ask for you, there's a way to present it. Some things are not black and white in how you present it. Some things, you just write a letter. And if it's a seller, you have to look now, if you have other offers as on the table that's ready to take it as is, you can go that route. But even so, if this one is ready to close and you have to make a concession for doing a $2,000 or $3,000 job so you can close, it's better to go forward. Has anything come up for anybody that they want to talk about? People, this is interactory. Let me just stop the share for a minute. Anything come up for you in a transaction that you're like, oh, let's talk about this, how you overcome it? All right. Let me go back. Okay. So what I find out is one of the biggest things that holds people up is fear. Fear, hold us up from moving forward. Fear that, oh, I don't know if I can do this. If I do this, what's going to happen to me? You know, Fear is, let's talk about fear, what it actually means and how it affects us, right? Yeah. So the acronym FEAR, F is false evidence for the E, appearing real. So fear is false evidence appearing real. Can anybody say, just share with us, what does that mean to you? Please, people, I need some interaction because that's how we all can get something out of it, more. Is Alex there? Islas is what I'm referring to, by the way.
No, he's not, Gary.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment on, how fear affects people or yourself, that kind of stuff? Okay. Well, let's look at a scenario where fear comes in. I'm recently working with a single lady who makes a lot of money, right? She makes a lot of money, and she's used fear. Like, okay, I remember she was in escrow on a property probably about 4 years ago. This is prior to COVID. And it was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. That was like 400,000. And it was priced well, because we were one of the first offer to jump in. And I put pressure on the listing agent to give us an acceptance. And we did inspection, and she brought her uncle into the matter to come take a look at it. And it's like, wow, 400,000 is a lot of money. They need to change his kitchen cabinet. They need to take the carpet off the floor. So she's like, yeah, Gary, can we get him to change it? I said, are you kidding me? Yeah. Well, as much as I talked to her, the fear that, oh, it's going to cost me too much, to change the kitchen cabinet, to repaint the house and all that stuff, it cost her to back out. Well, as soon as we backed out, the next buyer that bought that property paid $432 for it. So they actually paid $32,000 more than what we are in escrow for. That's number one. Number two, that property in today, they are now selling for $650 in the community. So because of that fear of, oh, it's going to cost, and it's not that she doesn't have the money. By the way, she does have the money. If she wants to paint the place up, change the carpet, she does have it. So I can see if it's something, but even if you have it, the place was very livable, right? But the fear that, oh, it's going to cost me so much. Sometimes we put too much on our head of what needs to be done in order for us to acquire what we need to acquire. And that happens, you know, on the on a seller side too, where hey, I had a lady that was kind of like what do you call it, a hoarder. You know, she's got a lot of stuff in the house. You know, she's a white lady. You know, she's got a lot of stuff. Now she has a lot of good stuff, but it's still packed up in the house that nobody can see the value of the house with all the good, with all our stuff in there. I mean, you can barely walk in the room. So I'm like, listen, if you want to get what you want to get, we gotta have to push all this thing out. Oh, my stuff is like really expensive. I have artwork. Gary, they can be worth, you know, millions of dollars. Uh, I say it doesn't matter. If people can see through them, they're not going to see the value on it. Do you want to sell your home as a fixer upper? Even though it's not fixer, because you can see behind the walls, behind the closet, they are like really good stuff. The moldings are top, but you can see them. So we have to push through of getting what you call it, a storage box. And even when I took movers to go there and move the stuff, they're like, no, this is too much. It was a 2-bedroom house, but we put storage box of like 7 or 8 storage boxes to unpack this lady's house. Now, when we unpack it, it became like a nice house that is, right? And she was able to get full value for it. But it's just pushing through the fear that, oh, you know, how am I going to deal with this? And I actually have a couple of people in that level right now that I'm dealing with, that is a conversation going through, and they're just really scared to get rid of, and some of them are junky too. It's not all of them that are good stuff. Some of them are junky. But it does, even though it's junky or it's good, it's the same reaction. The fear that, you know, what am I going to do with that my stuff? And I had to say, listen, can you separate yourself away from the stuff? It's a lady who wants to sell a house right now, but I said, you need to move out and go to an hotel and let somebody come and unpack this thing. And she's like, no, I'm gonna unpack him. And she's been unpacking him for 6 months and she's not been able to make any movement. So it's just the fear of leaving what we have when we know quite all right that when we do, it's going to be better for us. If you're living in a 1 or 2 bedroom and you're desiring to move to a 3 or 4 bedroom and you have a family of 6 people, it's going to be better for you. But the fear of getting from where you are to there sometimes hold us back. And it's false evidence that appears so real that you don't want to look at the bright light that can shine for you on the other side. All right. So this is a spirit we must defeat. It's a spirit, I always call it in my way of thinking, so to speak. Okay. It takes braveness to move from one level to another. I get it. It takes braveness. We have to be brave when we're making these choices, when we're taking this action. When we are brave, that's, you know, the bravest person are the ones that make things happen and make things happen. If I go back to the story of the gentleman that got me into real estate, and you guys can Google him, by the way, David Murdoch. And his story was beautiful when I read it. And he was just a young man among, I think, 4 or 5 siblings, back in the 50s of 40s in the South. And his parents were really low-end people. They were like servants, so back in the South, when people have the big house and they have slaves and all that stuff, even though they are white, they were the cheap white, so to speak. And so their parents know how to help, what you call those people that have the big estate, that they have cotton and all that stuff in their yard. They used to help them set it all up. And when they set it up, then they hire slaves and they let them go, right? So and this was, so when they let them go, it's causing the kids to every place they go to, they got to start over again. And most of these kids, his siblings, they always fall behind when they go back to school, because everybody know you're a farm kid. You come. Kids have been kids, I guess. From the 50s to now, it's still been the same history with kids, right? So that was the story with them. But this young boy just decided, like, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna finish college, and when I do, I want to buy my own piece of land. His parents never had a land. They always had a motorhome that they will move, because as soon as they establish a farm, they'll kick him out. And now they're out of job. They're gonna go to another, what do you call those things? Those homes. I was in New Orleans one time. I went to visit them. Anybody remember those big homes where you have, slaves, cotton yard and all that stuff?
Plantation, is that the one?
Eh?
Plantation homes.
Plantation. Thank you. Plantation. Yeah. So, and this is what this man's story was. He'll go to a plantation, set it up. So his siblings, they fall out of class every time. So, but he will have to double study, and he still has to help his parents with setting up the plantation and all that stuff. So, but he was determined that I'm gonna finish school and I want to buy my own piece of land. So, and that's what he did. Whatever we're determined to do, and this is where I talk about where dream matters. What we envision to be, it does matter. So this young man, he made it happen like that. So it's like, okay, if I can just get a scholarship to a college, I'm gonna work through college so I can save enough money to buy a piece of land. And that's what he did. He went to college, he got scholarship. He was the only one out of his siblings to make it out, because the other kids were always behind. And kids, they don't like when they're behind and their mates are telling them, "Oh, you don't know nothing, blah blah," and so they get stuck up in that position. But this young man went to college, worked in college while he's getting the scholarship, and he saved enough money to buy. It was just to buy a piece of land. And this is the value that I try to bring to people. The value of owning a piece of land, it can change the trajectory of your life forever, right? So he bought that piece of land. He went to school in New York. He bought a piece of land, a big piece of land, and he said, "Okay, parents, now why don't you set up your own, uh, uh, farm here and do whatever you want to do?" And then he left. Went back to school, kept back to doing what he's doing. And then a few years later, his parents called him up and say, "Son, we have these people there. They keep saying they want to buy this land. And we told them it's our land, blah, blah." So he had to come home. So he came home, and those people are like, "Yeah, we're investors. We want to develop this community, and this, your land is in a good place that we want to do that." And he said, "No, we're not selling it." They went back and forth, back and forth. He made a deal with them, right? But he made a good deal with them. So now he went and bought another huge piece of land. I mean, acres of land. And he went. And he said, tell his parents, this time you build your house in there and don't talk about selling to nobody. Well, guess what? 5 years later, they call him up again. It's the US government. They want to buy our land again. So And this is the trajectory of life for every homeowner. So this man, they sold this land, which was now sold to a Army base, right? I'm sure anybody here knows something called eminent domain, where the government can take over your place, but they will pay you for it. And
Yeah.
they pay him handsomely for it. And that's why this man became the 60th richest man in the world. So there's some things that happen along the way that we don't know of how people got there. But it was just to buy a piece of land, take his family from moral home living to owning a piece of land. What if we can do that for ourselves? And I'm telling you, 20 years of doing what I do, I've seen people buy a small condo, and that small condo changed the trajectory of their lives. I helped a young couple when they first got married. They bought a condo for $199. That's what they qualify for. I always say, look, it doesn't matter what it is, just get into it. And they bought it for $199, and about 4 or 5 years later, they sold that. They bought a townhouse. So it was a 2-bedroom condo. Now they bought a townhouse as a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath, or 2.5 bath, for $345. And then 5 years later, they sell that, and then they bought a home, a single family home, that's for $700. But all of it, their income was still minimal, but the equity kept allowing them to get better and better. And that's what any piece of land can do for anyone at any given time. All right. So any comments on that? I think we're good on time. Okay. All right. So the last part is, this is where you have some people you call dream stoppers, or vision blockers. We talk about dreams in the beginning, and young people that have visions. There has some people, I hate to say, sometimes it could be your best friend. Sometimes it could be your pastor or your elder at your church. Not to pick up on uh, deaconry people, because a lot of them are great, but I don't know what it is. Seeking approval from third party, this is where a lot of dreams get crushed. I've just seen it over the years, and now it's interesting. I remember a couple, they were introduced to me by their pastor. So the pastor have good intentions for them. Like, hey, Mr. Nix, can you help this, couple to look for a place? And we went into escrow on a nice place, and the pastor came, pray over it, blah, blah. We did inspection, there was mold. It was really black mold, and I just don't see them moving through. So we fell out of escrow. And then we find them another house that was a really nice find. And again, they had a pastor come and pray over it. And then the next thing, the seller, decide, no, I'm not selling the house. And no matter what we did, that seller said, no, I'm not selling it. So finally, I had to tell him, I said, okay, can we just go this route? Let's not, if you get an offer accepted, I don't want anybody, just you and your wife, that's it. Let's get this deal done. When it's closed, bring them in, they can come pray for you. Because if they've come and prayed for you twice and something has happened, it's caused it to fall out, I don't want that to happen again. And on the next transaction, it closed smoothly. And the pastor can come and pray for you. And so I don't know what it is. I had a single mom. She was in escrow on a place in Lakewood. I remember the place. And she brought a friend. And the friend didn't really say much to me, but said a whole lot to her. and it caused this lady to fall out of escrow. And that place she fell out of escrow is, she still hasn't bought anything today, but that place has got her $200,000 in equity. I had another lady in PV. Where you gonna find a townhome in PV for 100, 700,000? And she was in escrow on it, and she has kids. I'm like, your kids are gonna go to PV schools. They live in London now. Oh my God! And she fell out because a friend came in and said, "Oh, you may fall down the way the steps are." Like, so sometimes we have to watch who will bring in. Now, there are some people that advocate for us. It's really tough to place this. There are some people that are the advocator. You have to know the spirit of people around you. There are people that advocate for you to do better, right? Those people, you can keep them around. But the people that are like watching you to see, oh, you think you're gonna get better than us? You're gonna get that second house? Oh, okay. I remember even myself, we bought this one house. I had a vision to tear it down and build my dream home. And my wife told me, like I went back there one time, it's all these black birds on the land. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. And she still believes today that because we only share that thing with one couple, it causes us to block where we could not, any transaction, anything I try to do to finance that new construction that I wanted to do was not done. I had to sell the place uh, back and then find another property. So you just gotta watch who your dream stoppers are. But I just want to encourage, especially if you are in the ethnic group where you understand your ethnicity, you understand people around you. Don't build your dream with a dream stopper. Don't build your vision with a vision blocker. Get it done and then share with them. They're gonna rejoice with you. I really believe sometimes that people have good intention to rejoice with you and all that stuff, but you have to watch who they are and see a pattern that's happened around before, because you don't want to stop your dream from becoming true. It could be as simple as you want to sell your house now to go buy this bigger house. Oh, why do you need to buy that bigger house? Why do you why can't you stay where you are? Where your house is enough. Most people don't have what you have. They just stop your dream from happening. Oh, I want to sell my house so I can move to a better area that I can feel good. Imagine you've already had a dream that, oh, I'm going to move to this better area. How I'm going to feel, how my family is going to feel. It's the dream that always get us to where we want to go. Our dream is always ahead of us. They're always ahead of us. We have to take the steps to catch up with our dream. If you're dreaming and your dream is behind you, you are not dreaming enough, right? If you're creating visions and your vision is behind you, you're not. So it's always ahead of us. It's always going to be somewhere we need to go. I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want two-story home anymore. I think I want a single level home. And I remember there's a time in my life, like, I can't wait to have a two-story home. I want a two-story home. Like, I deal with a lot of young people today. They're like, oh, we want a two-story home. We got to be a two-story home. Okay, all right. That's their vision and that's their dream for themselves today. You know, and but your dream and vision is always ahead of you, and you don't want somebody to block you and say, oh, you can make where you are comfortable. Yeah, you can make your life miserable, but you can choose to be better because you've reprogrammed your mind and you want to see something better happen for you. All right. You gotta follow the footsteps of giants. Giants are people that have stepped up. Let me just finish with the story of Mr. Murdoch. Reading this man's story, it's again, it bought one land solid, bought another land solid, and then it decided, you know, hell, let me just go buy a whole city of land. And he went to Hawaii. I don't know if anybody's gone to Hawaii, and you take a tour, especially if you're in Honolulu, you take a tour. They always take you to this plantation place, where they sell all the different kind of stuff. I forgot the name. I forgot the name. But anyway,
Jerry, is Dole's
no,
plantation.
thank you, thank you.
I've been there. Dole's, yes.
Thank you. So that was him. That was this gentleman. So he went and bought a big piece of island, not the Honolulu one, but I think Kauai Island. He actually bought the rights to the whole island. Now, this is many years back. And when he bought it, there was nothing going on. But he learned from the mistakes when the US government took over his southern place and all that stuff. So when I bought this big island, and now it creates a lease land thing there. Even when the US government came and they started building hotels, they had to lease the land from him. This is how he made the money. And he put everybody on a 99-year lease. And this is how he went from literally nowhere to big, becoming, one of the richest men in the world. So yeah, so whenever I go to that place and they're telling us about the story, I'm like, oh my God, I got to meet this man in person. I got to serve him. And interesting thing is I saw him many, many months later, and he didn't remember anything about me. He didn't remember anything about me, but it changed the course of my life, and I'm glad for it. Okay, let's see. So whatever it is, we're seeking the first home, we're seeking the second home, doing a real estate investment, we're downsizing, any financial decision that involves real estate, you're buying a bigger home, you're buying a dream home. All of these are dreams that we dream of, and when we take action on them, it gets us to where we need to be. Okay. Braveness takes you up a ladder. So every act of braveness take you one step up. It takes you one step up. It takes you one step up, and you'll have a more fulfilled life that way too. So let me just anybody have any questions? They want to any comments they want to make?
Yeah, Mr. Nick, so this is Mr. Adeneye.
Right?
I think one of the fears that people are having this time, especially this particular period, is that if they buy houses now, what if in the next couple of months or maybe like a year down the line, the houses, the value fall, and everyone is waiting. Everyone is waiting. It looks like everyone is just waiting for something because we have such issues with some of our people now. They don't want to buy right now because they feel like if they buy and the thing falls down, what are they going to do? That's one of the fears.
So, all right. So let me have a reaction to that. First of all, unlike if you buy stocks, if you buy bonds, anything else you buy, right? Share, you invest in it, you invest certain amount of money in it, and most of those things, they can go to zero if the market crashes, correct? I don't think I've ever heard of any house that goes to zero, right? So
on like underneath,
that's right.
Water, because that was the first problem we ever had. We had a home that we bought then, for I think it was like 450 or 480 we got it, and later on it came down to almost like 160 in 2020.
Okay. And I understand that. I mean, I can't tell you what the future is going to look like. I
Mhm.
can tell you the steps you can take now.
Mhm.
Now, first of all, our economy has moved from a different place to where it is now, and whatever it's projected to do in the future.
Mm.
A home is always a place you're going to live in, right? The
Mm.
truth is, at any given time, there's a 4% trajectory increase in value on homes. Now, if you're in California, it's probably a little bit more, but around the country, it's about 4% trajectory of increase in value of home from 60 years ago to now, right? Uh, we've moved up the ladder a little bit, but not by how much. But the value of dollar has also changed. What your $100 can do for you 10 years ago is not what it can do for you today, right?
Mm.
So again, it's that's why I talk about dream world and possibility world is where you want to be. You can if you look at the future like that, you're always going to that's the fear part of what if this anything can happen any day, right? But it doesn't. Anything can happen any day, but it doesn't. It's just looking at where you are today, what possibilities you have today. Yeah, the choices we have today is not what we have even 4 years ago when interest rate was 3%, right? But we still feel like the interest rate is going to come down. The government have done a good job in some level of not letting our economy go to waste, entirely, right? Uh, but I still think that there's some corrections. It needs to come back to where we are, where everybody was doing well. Any other comments? Thank you, by the way.
Welcome.
Any other comments? Okay. It's 10:58. I always keep my time. Thank you for everybody that came on. Let's see who's gonna go to see Messi tomorrow. Now, this is for tomorrow's game.
I'm sorry, Jerry, for interrupting you. I kept trying to hit unmute, but it wouldn't do it. This is Jean.
Okay.
Well, I do agree with a lot that you were saying as far as people being scared to buy and stuff like that, and how they go into a house and look and see how terrible it looks. When we bought our house, it was like 30 some years ago. It didn't look too good, but you got to remember that, you're going to change, what you don't like, the painting. If you don't like the kitchen in time, you're going to change that. So you can have your house that you want, but you got to look at the bright side of it. All that stuff's going to be gone.